It's no secret that Season 3s are cursed in Fortnite. Chapter 5 Season 3 is coming to an end, so I decided I'm going to look back at all of our Season 3 seasons and decide what I think is the best Season 3 in Fortnite history. On Fortnite.gg, 3 of these seasons are ranked as some of the worst seasons of all time, and 2 of them are actually in the top 5 worst seasons of all time. I don't know what it is about season 3s, but it feels like Fortnite just can't get them right. To determine the best season 3 in Fortnite history, we will be ranking each season based on their map, battle pass, loot pool, and gameplay, and just the overall vibe of that season. And the first season we'll be starting with is our current season, Chapter 5 Season 3. This season may be the most controversial season of all time. Casual and competitive players were arguing and harassing each other non-stop on social media. The meta this season really divided the player base and had people questioning if this season even felt like Fortnite. So let's determine, where does this controversial season rank compared to the other Season 3s? The map right now is in a very weird place in my opinion. It just feels mashed together and has no real life to it. It's felt very random with some of the underground locations, the Myths and Mortals locations, and now the wreck locations all pieced together on this map, but they don't feel like they should be on the same map. But I do like the variety this map provides. We have the desert biome, a snow biome, forest, and grasslands area. And we have the Olympus vibe and underworld vibe mixed in with the Styx River, which is honestly really cool. I will say the actual locations themselves are a bit of a letdown though. I feel like Grand Glacier and Rebel's Roost are pointless at this point, and some of the locations are ridiculous to loot, like Mount Olympus and Lavish Lair. But with all of that said, I will be giving this map a 7 out of 10. Now, as far as the battle pass goes, this is easily one of my favorite passes compared to the other season 3s. There really are some awesome skins like Bright Raider, the Machinist, Megalodon, Ringmaster Scar, and the collabs for this pass were so good, which includes the T60 power armor from Fallout and Magneto. Not only were a lot of these skins really good, but their super level styles are some of my all-time favorites. The black and green and the black and blue look so clean in game. This battle pass honestly has some of my all-time favorite battle pass skins in Bright Raider and the Machinist, so the battle pass is getting an easy 9 out of 10. The loot pool and the gameplay is the reason for this season being so controversial. The car meta was loved by some and absolutely hated by others. The Nitro Fist fit into that category as well. As far as the shotguns go, I feel like we have balanced options. The ARs have been solid, especially when the combat AR returned. The burst SMG is still insane, and it has been nice having the hand cannon in the loot pool. I don't mind the new heavy sniper, and I enjoy the boom bolt. So there's a lot to like about this season's loot pool, but something about it just doesn't feel like Fortnite. I feel like it could be the mod benches, but the weapons just really don't have that Fortnite feel, in my opinion. But we did get the return of the Flintlock, which is a fun weapon to use, and the Magneto gloves are alright, so I'm giving the loot pool and gameplay a 7 out of 10. Actually, 6.5 because I just had PTSD about getting ran over by a mythic car. Alright, so the vibe of this season has been very up and down for me. In the very beginning, I wasn't a fan, but then I adjusted and I started having a lot of fun. Then a lot of the items got nerfed and I just felt like my excitement for the season wore off. If it wasn't for creative and Lego Fortnite, I would have not finished my entire battle pass. This season was just very up and down, and I felt like it's been like that for most of the community from what I've seen online. It's like I still love the game and I want to play it, and some nights I do enjoy it and have a lot of fun, but most of the time I do not enjoy myself until Reload came out, but I'm not counting that towards this ranking. This ranking is purely based on the Battle Royale. So the overall vibe is a 6 out of 10 for me. There are things I really liked, but also things I hated, so I'm basically splitting it down the middle. So the total ranking for Chapter 5 Season 3 is 28.5 out of 40. Moving on to the second worst ranked season of all time on Fortnite.gg, Chapter 4 Season 3, the Wild Season. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I see very few Wilds defenders on Twitter or just online in general. To a lot of the community, it was just a very boring and uneventful season, so let's get into it and see where it ranks compared to the other seasons. Starting with the map, this will honestly be a pretty short review. It just wasn't that good. Chapter 4 started with a solid map that was pieced together during the Fracture event, which I thought was a really cool idea. And then I think Chapter 4 Season 2 actually enhanced it with Mega City and Steamy Springs. The map started to have variety to it. Then Wilds arrived and they threw a jungle right in the middle of the map. Now the jungle itself was pretty cool with the vines and slurp plants, and I liked Rumble Ruins and creaky compound, but the problem with this biome was the placement. It was in the middle of the map, so you're always having to rotate through it or around it, and it was honestly hard to try and avoid it. If it was off to the side of the map or took a corner of the map, like the underworld for example, then I think this map would have had a more positive reaction from the community. So the wilds map gets a 6 out of 10. All right, now moving on to the battle pass. I hated it. I think there are maybe 2 skins I liked, which are Era and Relic. Trace is all right, but I don't think I ever use a skin. Honestly, I don't think I've used any of these skins since that season. And don't even get me started on Optimus being the tier 100 skin. He should have been the bonus skin. Actually, I can't even remember who was the bonus skin. I'm gonna look it up really quick. Are you serious? It was the Hawaiian shirt Meowscles? Yeah, this pass gets a 4 out of 10 because I'm feeling nice today since I got some Starbucks. The gameplay and loot pool for Chapter 4 Season 3 was very hit and miss as well. That seems to be the running theme for Season 3s in Fortnite. For the new kinetic weapon, it was a boomerang, and honestly, that was trash. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they had to take it out of the game for most of the season. And the Cybertron cannon was pretty boring and weak for a mythic. The shotgun gameplay was almost great with the Havoc pump, the Maven, and the Sharp Tooth later on in the season, but they just had to add the damn drum shotgun. I hate that shotgun so much. The Flapjack rifle was added and it was pretty cool, to be honest. The recoil was a little crazy, but what I really liked was the repeater rifle and the Mammoth pistol. Those were the 2 highlights for me in the loot pool. Oh, and I almost forgot about the cloak gauntlets, but they were trash as well, so I don't blame myself for forgetting about them. I know wildlife was a pretty big deal that season because of the jungle, and I always thought the raptors were cool, but I hated the wasps. So the loot pool and gameplay gets a 5 out of 10. Also, the worst summer update happened during Chapter 4 Season 3 as well. Overall, the vibe of that season was just not good. It got boring pretty quick for a Fortnite season. They introduced some cool ideas like riding the vines, and I really like some of the loot pool, but overall I just wasn't about this season, so I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 10 for the vibes, which brings the total to a 19.5 out of 40. Some of you are probably glad I'm not your teacher with how I'm grading these. Also, just want to be clear, if you liked any of these seasons, that's awesome, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm not gonna dog on you for it. This is just my opinion, and we won't always agree, but at the end of the day, we still love this game. But with that said, let's move on to Chapter 3 Season 3. Donald Mustard's last season. I really wish this wasn't his last season. He did an incredible job, so it sucks that his legacy ended with this season, even though he considered it to be a celebration of everything they achieved up to that point. So let's get started with the map. I actually like this map. The reality tree area was beautiful and I love the giant mushrooms. I honestly love the blue and purple a lot. It was something different that we hadn't experienced before. For people that don't know, I love the Chapter 3 map so much. Even when the Chrome season arrived, I liked it a little less during that season, but still thought it was cool. But the Chapter 3 map, in my opinion, is the best map, especially during Chapter 3 Season 1. But anyways, I like that the desert area stayed the same, because that biome was incredible. I thought the Rave Cave was sick, and I love the idea of a roller coaster location, and Logjam Lotus was super creative. It used to be Logjam Lumberyard, but because of the reality tree, it would turn into different locations every match. Those locations were the Coliseum, Tilted Town, and Lazy Lagoon, which is a peak location. Sleepy Sound was underrated. We had the Bugle still, which was great. So overall, this map gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Next is Chapter 3 Season 3's Battle Pass, which is an interesting topic because I don't hate it as much as others do. I will admit some of the skins are pretty basic, like Stormfarer, for example. That skin feels like an $800 V-Buck item shop skin. Malik was cool, but I felt like they didn't spend much time on him. And what I mean by that is it looks like his outfit was lazily put together. Like he's got a cape and shoulder pad armor, but then he's got a baggy t-shirt and joggers. But I do think they went 3 for 3 on the female skins. Sabina was my favorite for sure. Might be a little biased because she got a web tattoo, white hair, and an assassin look to her. Darth Vader and Indiana Jones were sick as well, so I give this pass a 7 out of 10. The gameplay and loot pool for Chapter 3 Season 3 was definitely all over the place. We had the Darth Vader lightsaber along with the E11 blaster. We got the grapple glove for Indiana. A couple of exotics like the 6-shooter and the boom sniper. I feel like they were pretty mid compared to other exotics we have gotten though. And the AR loot pool was honestly decent with the striker burst, hammer AR, and combat AR. The shotgun loot pool felt all over the place, but I did like the prime shotgun. The new charge SMG we got was trash, but 2 of the biggest gameplay changes were the reality sapling trees and the Dragon Ball Z mythics when we finally got a Dragon Ball collab. But like I said, this loot pool just fell all over the place, so I give it a 6 out of 10. Now, the overall vibe for Chapter 3 Season 3 was not good to a lot of the community, but I actually had fun most of the time. Like, it wasn't the best season by any means, but I still had a good time when I hopped on. But I will say I played less that season compared to the first two Chapter 3 seasons. If I knew it was Donald Mustard's last season, I probably would have appreciated it more than I did at the time. Like, we actually had some really cool updates and changes to the game during that season, and I felt like it lived up to that title of the season, which was vibin'. Like, it was just a very chill season. So I give the overall vibe a 7 out of 10, which brings its total to 28 out of 40. Now, moving on to Chapter 2 Season 3, which in my opinion is one of the most underrated seasons of all time. This was the season that had to go right after the very popular Chapter 2 Season 2, so it already had an uphill battle, but let's get into it. Starting with the map, this was probably the biggest change Fortnite had ever done to a map. Most of the map was flooded, which included locations like Dirty Docks and Craggy Cliffs. The agency became the authority. Some of the locations were on rafts, like Pleasant Park and Frenzy Farm. We had new locations called Caddy Corner, which was my favorite arena drop spot, and the Fortilla. I honestly thought the flooded map was a lot of fun, and eventually it was no longer flooded. But this season did give us Coral Castle, arguably the worst location of all time, so it gets docked a point for that. The map gets a 7.5 out of 10. Now, this season's battle pass was honestly really good. I don't really have any complaints when it comes to this battle pass. Some of the skins includes Jules, who is widely popular, Kit, Ocean, and Fade, to name a few. Our bonus skin was Aquaman, which made sense for this season, even though I wish they gave us a comic accurate Aquaman. Eternal Night was a cool tier 100 skin as well, so this pass gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. The gameplay in Season 3 was actually a lot of fun in my opinion. It was tough going from the pump to the charge, but once you got used to it, you could have so many cool clips with the charge. It quickly became one of my favorite shotguns. We also had Kit's shockwave launcher and Jules drum gun and glider gun, which was a fun twist on the grapple gun. I really liked Ocean's burst assault rifle as well. We got the P90 back that season along with the hunting rifle. I feel like the loot pool was pretty balanced for the most part. We also got the upgrade benches that season as an item, so you could throw it down and upgrade your weapon. We also got cars that season once the flooding had left the map. At the time it was really cool since they were new, but now I am sick of the cars. So the loot pool and gameplay for this season, I give an 8 out of 10. Overall, I really enjoyed Chapter 2 Season 3. It felt very different compared to previous seasons, and it was cool to see the map flooded, then it slowly went away and revealed the map again. I liked the loot pool, and I liked the battle pass. I don't have any big complaints from Chapter 2 Season 3. It was just a good, solid season, so I give the overall vibe an 8 out of 10, which brings its total score to a 32 out of 40. And last but certainly not least on this list is Chapter 1 Season 3, which many would consider peak Fortnite, or at least its first peak. This was definitely when Fortnite was at its most popular, so let's see how it stacks up compared to the other Season 3s. The map at this time period was very simple. Lucky Landing was added during this season, which was one of my favorite Chapter 1 locations. Sometimes simpler is better, and in this instance it was, but at the same time we got way better locations and maps throughout this chapter. What I really liked about the locations on this map was how simple the POIs were to loot, and I really liked the non-name locations like 5 houses and motel towards the top of the map. So overall I give this map a 7.5 out of 10. I'm not gonna have the nostalgia goggles on for Chapter 1 Season 3. There have been way better maps since the OG Season 3, even though I did really like how simple it was. The OG Season 3 battle pass was solid in my opinion. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. We got a few legendary skins like the Elite Agent, Rust Lord, and the Reaper, which we all called John Wick back in the day, but to be honest, I didn't really like the astronaut skins. They were pretty boring in my opinion, so this pass gets a 7 out of 10, mainly because there are some skins that people still talk about and use to this day. The gameplay and loot pool back in Chapter 1 Season 3 is really what stands out. This game had the most basic but fun loot pool. Like, back then we were excited to get shopping carts, the heavy shotgun, hand cannon, the hunting rifle, just simple items like that that are still used to this day. We never got 3 to 4 mythics and medallions. It was so rare to just get a gold scar back then. We got vending machines for the first time, which are still in the game today, and we got porta-forts. So overall, the gameplay and loot pool gets a 9 out of 10, which leads me to the overall vibe of the season. This really was peak Fortnite vibes. Like, if you didn't play during that era, it's really hard to explain how great it was for gaming. Like my college buddies and I would play as soon as we got back from class all the way up until we went out to the bars. And when we went out, everybody was talking about the game. The game was all over the news. We were posting our victory royales on Snapchat. It was just a peak time to be playing Fortnite. So the overall vibes are an easy 10 out of 10. If I could make it higher, I definitely would, because realistically it was probably like a 15 out of 10. So chapter 1 season 3 gets a total of 33.5 out of 40. So now that we have the overall scores in for each season, let's see how they ranked. In last is chapter 4 season 3, in fourth is chapter 3 season 3, and in third is chapter 5 season 3. Not gonna lie, I actually expected those to be flip-flop. In second is chapter 2 season 3, and in first by a point and a half is chapter 1 season 3. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your ranking for these seasons in the comments. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe and use code TuneSpider in the Fortnite item shop, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace!